My power just went out. As you can see, I can't. In this video, I'm going to tell you my top 10 games I play on my phone for times like these. So before we jump into this top 10, a little information. These games are pretty fast to play because these are iPhone games. I don't want to sit here for hours on end playing one game. I'll play one game over and over again. Weird how it works like that. But one of these games, I could sit at the table and play it for several hours. As you can see, I have 10 pages of just board game apps. So I play a lot of these, but I have 10 favorites. So let's talk about my top 10. My number 10 is a game called Quicks. I mean, it plays quick. It's a little game by Games. It's one of those games you can find at big box stores. And it works great as a phone app because there is no board. So you're not wasting paper and everything like that. This little game plays just in a few minutes. It's a really fun game. So number 9 on my list is Sagata. Sagata has moved up on my list since we played Sagata Artisans, which is the legacy version of this game. You could find that full playthrough here on the iHeartBoard Games channel on YouTube, if you're watching this there. Sagata is another game that involves dice. And thematically, you're talking about building the La Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, Spain. It has a beautiful layout, has daily challenges, and it's a game you can play with friends. And shout out to Direwolf because they make a lot of board game apps that are really great looking and play really well, and Sagata is definitely one of them. Number 8 on my list is probably my most recent acquisition as far as board games on the phone goes, and that's Super Mega Lucky Box. This is a game you can actually find a Board Game Arena, but also at the table. It plays really fast and you can play it with almost anyone. In this game by Phil Walker Harding and Game Right Games, this is like bingo, sort of. There's a number being called out and you're marking off that number on your sheet and you're trying to make combos happen. But this is a great way to play it on the go and get that combo-rific thing going with Super Mega Lucky Box. If you haven't tried it, give it a shot. My number 7 game sat on the shelf for a long time. And then some new gamers came over and said, "Oh, what's this game? Let's give it a shot." I said, "Oh yeah, I know it. I could teach it." And then I played it. I'm like, this game's still really fun. And that's Cartographers. And this is from Thunderworks Games. In Cartographers, this is a game where it's a flip and write. So everyone's writing out a map. And in this map, you're getting points based on a few goals. And the app version, bonus points for being a portrait mode game, by the way, I forgot to mention that also for Sagata, is that it has daily missions or daily goals. It also has just a way to randomly play. I think that was my power coming back on. But anyway, I just noticed there's the Heroes expansion on here. So I'm gonna have to get back to playing more Cartographers. So that was a false alarm. Power's still not back, but usually when I hear those beeps and stuff, that means it's coming back soon. So I'm excited about that. But number 6, this game took me by surprise because I signed up for this Secret Santa thing on Board Game Geek where everyone sends each other certain games. You tell them what you like and they find a game for you. I didn't think it would happen too well for me because I have so many games. But surprisingly, my Secret Santa pulled through and sent me a game called Mr. Jack Pocket, which is also a great iPhone app. In Mr. Jack Pocket, it's a 2-player game. And there's a 3x3 grid of tiles. And it's a simple deduction game. And in this one, the computer player can beat me really badly sometimes. You're either taking on the role of Sherlock and his 2 friends. Yeah, you can be friends with a dog. Or you're taking on the role of Jack the Ripper and trying to make sure Sherlock doesn't find out who you are, because you're one of these 9 people on these streets. If you like deduction, this is a great, simple deduction game that's replayable again and again. We're about to go to number 5, but hopefully the power will come back soon. Maybe if you try hitting the subscribe button or the thumbs up, and maybe turn on the bell, maybe that'll bring the power back, because Eventually, this phone's gonna run out of battery. My number 5 was one I first discovered on Board Game Arena. Actually, prior to that, there was a random website that just had this game on it, and then when Board Game Arena had it, I think they stopped. Either way, it's a great game if you haven't tried it. It's a roll and write called Railroad Inc., and this one specifically is Railroad Inc. Challenge. In Railroad Inc., there are 6 roads and 6 railroads, and you're trying to connect as many as you can, but you're at the mercy of the dice, and the dice aren't always nice to you. Everyone is filling up their board over a number of rounds, and the person who does it the best, connecting the most roads together, and also trying to fill in those 9 squares in the middle, will probably win the game. Railroad Inc. Challenge on the phone is one of my favorite daily challenges to do. It's always a good time, it's always a quick time, and that's Railroad Inc. Challenge. My number 4 favorite game to play on my phone is a game that I prefer to play this way because it's less mess. It's also a game on Board Game Arena, and for that reason, also, I like it there because I don't have to set up the board. And that game is Patchwork. If you've ever set up Patchwork, it's a lot to put out around the board, and it's a lot to keep moving around constantly. But that said, I'll still play it at the table. I've actually upgraded my buttons to real buttons, so it's a pretty fancy copy. In Patchwork, it's a 2-player game, and you're using these polyominoes to put them on the board and try to fill up your quilt as much as possible. Any holes are minus points, and the player with the most buttons at the end is the winner. This is a great game, it's a satisfying game, and you can still get that satisfaction playing it on your phone. Some of you might come at me for this pick, but this is my number 3 pick, and there was a time where I was just on a roll. Every day I was playing this game, and it's a game from Mattel. So this is a game you find at Walmart. Weird, right? But this game is Blockas. Oh, now that I've said it, you understand. Blockas is a fun game with polyominoes. It's playable up to 4 players. I actually like the Blockas Duo 2 players. But in this game, you're trying to keep playing. If you can't keep playing, you're out of the game. The players who last the longest usually end up being the winner, but that's not certain. Each individual square you have will deduct your points, but whoever has the most points after the deductions is the winner. So I would spend so much time trying to trick the AI in this game, and if I recall, I did a pretty good job at beating all the hardest AI, which is probably why I put it down. But it's a really fun game. I feel like they've fixed some of the issues I recall having. For a while it wasn't even playable, but I played it a lot recently. And so Blockas is totally my number 3. All right, now it's time to talk about my number 2. This is a game that is so satisfying to play on your phone because it's just swiping. And swiping on your phone is the most natural thing you can do. And that's Cat Lady. In Cat Lady, there's a 3x3 grid where players are going to pick either a row or a column, and you just swipe down or swipe left or swipe right on these columns. It's the easiest game to play, and it's over like that. When you play it at the table, it's not a super long game, but you're picking up the 3 cards and you're adding to your tableau. But in this way, you're just choice, choice, choice. Just pick the best thing you can. But Cat Lady, if you like cats, if you like satisfying movements in a game, this app is a wonderful one. It's even better than the PC one because then you're clicking a mouse. But something about just putting your finger on a row of cards and throwing them in your tableau makes Cat Lady my number 2. Before we get to number 1, I want to mention my honorable mentions. And Istanbul ranks high on there because it is one of my favorite games, but it's really small on the phone screen. I do like playing it on the PC though. Another one that's a favorite of mine is Jaipur. Another one that comes to mind is Wordsy. If you like word games, try out Wordsy. I think Wordsy was taken as an app name, so they call it a vowel. Onirim is another great game. It's a solo game, so it's made for solo play, but it handles all the cards, so you don't have to. And another favorite that I bring out in occasionally is Onitama. This is a great two-player game, but it has a really elegant layout. It's very fun. And now it's time for my number one game, and the power still isn't back. Oh well, I guess maybe we can make another video after this. Subscribe so you don't miss that one. But number one is that game that I was talking about that can take hours at the table, but on the phone, it takes me about 30, 40 minutes, and that's Castles of Burgundy. Yeah, it does use the weird layout, but once you get used to that, it works. They find a way to compact it onto your phone and still have everything be very visible. So if you enjoy Castles of Burgundy, don't be afraid to jump into it, but give it a little time because the layout is tricky at first, but then you start to get it. So Castles of Burgundy, if you don't know anything about it, you can find out all about that on my top 10. It's somewhere on there. I won't spoil where, but then I talk about it a lot more over there. So I'm gonna go play these games until the power comes back or my battery runs out, I guess.